Welcome to Hoystory.com here, Friday, November 7th, 2025. This one is going straight to recording. I'm not streaming this live this time. We're going to give this a shot. Again, working the best I can on this. Please like, subscribe, tell your friends, tell your enemies. If you don't like what you hear here, you know someone else probably who disagrees with you, whom you hate. Tell that person about me. Again, just trying to see if I can eventually turn this into a way to make a living. So thanks for joining me. Thanks for watching. We're going to go on with the show. We're going to see what we're going to see. Here we go. First off, let me tell you, I have worked, I spent a little over a year writing a book, and been having a hard time getting anybody who wants to publish it. I don't have the cash to self-publish, so you're going to get a little free preview of my book today, and we'll see if we can get this thing, get enough followers, get enough people watching Hoystory On Air to get to the point where, hey, maybe a publisher will be willing to publish it because you people will be willing to buy it. So we're going to move on to the next thing here. We've got Peter Welch of Vermont, Senator. What hath Obamacare wrought?
Owe you an answer on why it is I'm standing here today asking to extend something that was temporary. And here's the reason. We did fail to bring down the cost of health care.
Color me shocked. Here I am, shocked. Not really.
Owe you an answer.
Here is from my book, not the final cover, but this is what it's going to be called, hopefully. Fact-checking frauds, how fact-checkers distract, deceive, and distort our politics. In the wake of Obamacare, healthcare premiums didn't go down, did they go up? A year after PolitiFact came to the sad conclusion that they'd been hoodwinked and rated President Obama's promise that insurance premiums would be reduced by $2,500 a year as broken, they were presented with yet another attack on Obamacare that they felt the need to defend. Wisconsin GOP Senator Ron Johnson, in a Fox News radio interview on Kilmeade and Friends, took aim at that broken promise and its aftermath. An average plan for a family didn't go down by $2,500 per year. It's going up by about $2,500 per year, Johnson complained to host Brian Kilmeade. In swoops PolitiFact to tell you to ignore your lying eyes and trust them. So Johnson was saying that premiums are $2,500 more in 2013 than when Obamacare became law in 2010, and Lincoln, they don't even pay copy editors enough, because I guarantee you, if you go to the link for this, the error is still there. The law to the increase. Let's give the senator's claim a fine-tooth examination. PolitiFact's Tom Kirshner begins by citing the above Obameter ruling of promise broken. He never points out that ruling validates the first half of Johnson's claim, but simply moves on. After contacting Johnson's office to determine where he got the numbers he used to calculate that $2,500 premium increase from 2010 to 2013, they were directed to figures from the Kaiser Family Foundation, a left-leaning health policy think tank. In 2010, the average premium for an employer-sponsored family health care plan was $13,770. In 2013, it was $16,351. The difference, $2,581. So, true? No. Half true. Why? Well, let PolitiFact consult with a bunch of experts to take guesses at why Obamacare didn't deliver the promised savings. The Kaiser figures show a premium increase of 9% in 2011, about a year after the health reform law was adopted. But one could argue the longer the law has been in effect, the lower the premium increases have been, under 5% in 2012, under 4% in 2013. Well, yes, but we'd been promised they would go down, not that they'd continue to increase, but at a slower rate. Experts say, however, that a number of factors, including the recession and the sluggish economic recovery, affect premiums. Moreover, there is no consensus that enough time has passed to determine what effect the Affordable Care Act, much of which doesn't even take effect until 2014, has had on premiums, particularly for employer-sponsored plans. I'm going to pause right here with an aside. They've still continued to this day to skyrocket. I'm sure that everyone knows this. That's part of the reason why we've got this government shutdown right now, because the Democrats, all on their own with no Republican support, passed subsidies for people earning up to 400% of the poverty level. And if those subsidies go away, boom, there's going to be a big increase again in premiums. Well, that increase is already there. It's just the government's been shuttling money directly to the health insurance companies. So this is continued. It's not like it went down from 9% to 5% to 4% to 3%, 2% to 1%. It's gone back up. And they've been hiding it. Democrats have been hiding it with these subsidies. They were supposed to be COVID subsidies because COVID was a bad thing, and a pandemic like COVID is a good reason to go into deficit spending. The problem is everything's a good reason to go into deficit spending, and it continues. Back to my wonderful book. Poor Obama, just a victim of circumstance. The President's Council on Economic Advisors, it should be of, but PolitiFact, copy editors, yeah. In a November 2013 report argues there is a connection between the law and a slowdown in healthcare costs overall. But the report also notes the causes of the slowdown are not yet fully understood. That same Council of Economic Advisors that assured the public that the stimulus, Obama's stimulus, and right after he got elected in 2013, would keep unemployment below 8%, those guys, again, it went up to over 10%. So how will PolitiFact justify their half-true rating after acknowledging that both that the premiums for the typical family didn't drop by $2,500 and instead grew by $2,500? Back to PolitiFact. Johnson said that under Obama's health care law, the premium for an average plan for a family didn't go down by $2,500 per year. It's gone up by about $2,500 per year. Johnson is correct that by 2013, 3 years after the Affordable Care Act became law, the total average premium for employer-provided family insurance had risen by $2,500 per year. But experts say there is little or no evidence that Obamacare is responsible. Experts, huh? How convenient. The ruling completely ignores the first half of Johnson's statement and bases everything on whether Obamacare is to blame for the increase. Of course, if you added the completely true first half of Johnson's statement with PolitiFact's preferred half true, for the second half you'd get mostly true. Unfortunately, there is no additive property of fact-checking, so it doesn't work that way. There's more of this in the book. PolitiFact is the main target, just mainly because they're the biggest fact-checker, but all of the fact-checkers are bad. All of the fact-checkers bring their biases to their analysis, bring the bubble, the liberal bubble, left-wing bubble that's present in most newsrooms to their analysis, and this is the kind of garbage you get. Ron Johnson's statement is 100% true. He's got the facts to back it up. Oh, we shouldn't blame Obamacare for it, even though that's the law of the land, which you guys got passed on strictly party line votes without any Republican input. Sorry, not buying it. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Moving on, our next story. This I love. I love this. New Hampshire's first transgender elected rep, Stacey Lawton, not Stacey, he's a dude, pleaded guilty to child exploitation charges. He reportedly asked his partner, who worked in a daycare, to send him nude photos of kids. Eric Swalwell, he of Chinese honeypot fame, campaigned with him. Of course he did. Of course Swalwell did. Swalwell he's what California deserves. There's going to be more of them after the Prop 50, more, Swalwell types after the Prop 50 passage. We should not be surprised. What do you expect? What do you expect? I don't know that I expect any better. It gets better. Oh, you guys are going to love this. Love it. This is Kansas. Take a listen.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election fraud. The charges come hours after he secured a second term in office. Attorney General Chris Kobach charged Mayor Jose Joe Ceballos with 6 felonies, 3 counts each of voting without being qualified and election perjury. Kobach claims Ceballos is lawfully living in the U.S. but is a citizen of Mexico, making him ineligible to vote. The AG alleges the mayor illegally cast ballots in the August 2024 primary and November 2022 and 2023 general elections.
In large part, our system right now is based on trust. Trust that when the person signed the registration or signs the poll books saying that he's a qualified elector or that he is a United States citizen, that the person is telling the truth.
We reached out to Mayor Ceballos for comment, but have not heard back yet. The Coldwater City Council, though, released a statement on social media saying the mayor called them in for a special meeting over the noon hour to, quote, discuss recent events that have transpired with the Kansas Attorney General's office. While the recent allegations involving the mayor are understandably concerning, we will allow the proper legal process to take its course before making any further comments, unquote. Ceballos is expected to be in court for his first appearance on December 3rd.
There you go. Profiles encourage. Thank you, Britt Lennertz. How about something like, what did he tell you? Did he deny it? I don't know. This is, can we condemn this? Can we say, if true, this is troubling and we should, and he should resign immediately, and probably, again, if you vote and you're not a citizen, it's a felony. Toss him in jail, kick him out of the country, never to come back. The kid, I'm shocked. I'm shocked. I mean, this takes some cojones. For those of you who aren't familiar with the Spanish on that, you could ask the mayor of Coldwater, Kansas. Yeah, this is just great. Yeah. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
The mayor of Coldwater accused of election.
Oh, geez. Okay. Jumping ahead too far. Okay. Next video. I gotta, when it plays videos, it does other weird things. So, Bangor, Maine. Again, Maine, you're batting 1,000 here. I mean, you've got this guy running for Senate who's a commie and a Nazi and gets the racist Nazi tattoos on his chest. And now you have Angela Walker, a nonpartisan, but is backed by progressives, won a seat as Bangor City Council member on Tuesday. She, in 2003, was convicted of manslaughter after she and her brother, and this is just her say, okay, we've got no third-party evidence that this occurred, but let's assume it did, okay? A fight broke out after Rogers allegedly, this is the victim, Canadian tourist Derek Rogers, allegedly called Walker a derogatory term for a Native American woman. and he was later found severely beaten and suffocated with sand. They shoved sand down his throat until he suffocated to death. And Bangor, Maine, citizens, all for it. You can look at the article. She says, "Oh, this is, that's my past, blah, blah, blah." Notably absent is any statement of remorse. I shouldn't have done this. I'm sorry, blah, none of that. So, because that would be in the headline. Certainly not in the story. Yeah. Way to go. I guess we get the elected officials that we deserve, but I don't really like it. Again, the people have spoken. They deserve to get it good and hard with sand stuffed down their throats. Let's move on to the mother country, Britain. Last night, Aston Villa Aston Villa, because they're British, so they mispronounce these words. Aston Villa played Maccabi Tel Aviv. And Aston Villa won 2-0. Maccabi Tel Aviv is not doing well in the Europa League. Why is an Israeli team in the Europa League and not in the Middle East League? Well, because none of the Arabs want them there, because Arabs famously don't like Jews and don't like Jewish teams, so they play in Europe. Turns out Europe doesn't like them much either. This made the news a couple weeks ago, but over in Britain, the UK police banned Israeli soccer fans from the game. Said, don't want any Israelis there. Are Israelis violent? Are Israelis gonna tear up the town? And just so you know how these kind of British soccer games work, Europa League, whatever, there's usually like a section set aside for the visiting fans, and they'll have it fenced off. But once you get outside, that's during the game. But once you get outside, it's public. So, according to the article, this comes from an Associated Press article. Links will be in the link dump in the description of the video below, so you can check this out. But this is the AP reporting. It says Premier League team Aston Villa said Thursday that police had informed the club that they have public safety concerns outside the Stadium Bowl and the ability to deal with any potential protests on the night. West Midlands Police said it had deemed the match to be high risk based on current intelligence and previous incidents, including violence and hate crimes that took place when Maccabi Tel Aviv played Ajax in Amsterdam last season. Fan bans are not unheard of in European soccer, but are typically based on a history of violence between fans of rival clubs. There is no history of violence between Aston Villa and Maccabi fans. Notice how this is phrased, and this is odious. Violence and hate crimes that took place when Maccabi Tel Aviv played Ajax in Amsterdam last season. It sounds like these Israeli fans were going berserk all over the place. No, it's not what happened. This is from, I thought I fixed the thing. This was reported in the, I got this one from The Athletic. Okay, so this is from The Athletic, which is the New York Times kind of sports site. I should have put it on the thing, on the slide. This is what them describing what happened in Amsterdam after the Ajax game. Flashpoints were contained by police, but it was after the game, once Maccabi fans had returned to Amsterdam city center, that, according to Mayor Frank Halsema, rioters carried out several hit-and-runs attacks on Israelis in various locations. Visiting supporters were eventually offered protection from police and protection by police. They need copy editors too. And taken to hotels by bus. Order was restored according to Hala by about 3 a.m. local time. I don't know who Hala is. Probably a police report or cop of some sort. I am deeply ashamed of the behavior that unfolded, Halsema told reporters. On Telegram messaging groups, people talked of going to hunt down Jews. It's so terrible I can't find the words for it. In comments reported by Reuters, Israeli President Isaac Herzog said the King of the Netherlands, Willem Alexander, had expressed his deep horror and shock at the events in Amsterdam. The scale of violence led Israel airline El Al chartering 2 rescue flights on Friday morning, with instructions from Maccabi for its supporters to stay in hotels and avoid wearing Jewish symbols until returning home. Many visiting fans were taken from their hotels to Amsterdam's Schiphol airport by buses that were afforded extra police protection on their journey. This was a pogrom. They had largely Arab cab drivers and Uber drivers and Lyft drivers going out there, and they were warning the Israeli fans, do not get in an Uber. And they were chasing them down and attacking them. That's what was going on in Amsterdam. There were some limited, things about some Maccabi fans saying some things or doing some things, that were out of line. But it pales in comparison to this. The Maccabi stuff, fans, things they allegedly did there were kind of in line with typical back and forth that occurs in European soccer matches. Got another video for you. You're going to love this. Here we go. Well, there you go. You notice how they're all wearing masks because they're proud of what they're doing. This is anti-Semitism dressed up as anti-Zionism. If you see a Zionist call the anti-terror police, I'm not sure or anti-terror hotline, I'm not sure they should be worried about that, really. Let's go back to, so that's what was going on outside Aston Villa before last night. It's an article from the NL Times on the aftermath of they did an after-action report on what happened there. It says, in multiple incidents, authorities allegedly lost track of where the unrest was unfolding. Demonstrators moved rapidly between locations, targeting Jewish symbols and venues near the stadium, including the Orthodox synagogue and the kosher restaurant Ha Carmel. In one instance, officers abandoned efforts to contain the chaos and focused on preserving their own safety. I don't necessarily blame them, but hey, okay. Investigators faulted Amsterdam police for relying too heavily on traditional intelligence gathering methods in an era of digital mobilization, where riots and hate crimes are often planned via private messaging channels. Again, this wasn't the Maccabi fans. At around the time of the match, Maccabi Tel Aviv fans and people perceived to be Jewish, were threatened, intimidated, and in some cases assaulted at multiple locations across Amsterdam. Despite these incidents, the city authorities shared no formal public updates between 1:40 a.m. and 9 a.m. the following morning, according to a separate report by the COT Institute for Safety and Crisis Management. She added that authorities need to be more alert to anti-Semitic signals in private chat groups and social channels. There's a dangerous gap when the police are not getting the intelligence that leads to such a hunt for Jews. They want to make this a both sides thing. Look at this. Meanwhile, Dutch Public Prosecution Service, OM, confirmed Sunday to drop two separate criminal investigations into alleged assaults by Maccabi Tel Aviv supporters against pro-Palestinian individuals. The cases, connected to incidents on the Amsterdam metro system, were dropped after security footage that could have served as key evidence was erased. You're going to get the typical anti-Semite saying, oh, the Jews control all the media. I don't think so. I think they lost it because, well, go on, I'll tell you why I think I lost it. According to Dutch broadcaster NOS, the footage was lost due to a combination of short retention periods and equipment replacement by the city's transit operator, GVB. Unfortunately, this necessary replacement combined with a limited retention period resulted in the footage no longer being available, a GVB spokesperson said. While the standard retention time is 1 week, some recordings are saved for even less time, the company added. Yeah. Here's why the stuff got disappeared. It's not to save the Jews. It's to prove, it would have proved that they were the victims. That's what's going on here. Give me a break. Give me a break. Yeah, didn't happen. Next one up is, this is by Aaron Greenblatt. I think his first name's Aaron. He's head of the Anti-Defamation League here in the U.S. This was posted to the Times of Israel in response to the Jew hunt of a year ago in Amsterdam, the same case. It says, on the evening of November 7, 2024, after Amsterdam's Ajax soccer team played the visiting Maccabi Tel Aviv, hundreds of Israeli fans were hunted down in the streets like animals. On Telegram and WhatsApp groups, young men of Turkish and Moroccan descent planned and coordinated the attack in real time, calling it a Jew hunt or a Jodenjacht in Dutch. Most of them probably weren't using Dutch, they were probably using Arabic, but that's just my supposition. Operating in gangs, they isolated victims, filmed their abuse, and forced some to yell, "Free Palestine," under threat of violence. Some Jewish fans escaped by jumping into canals. Police officials falsely portrayed the situation as one of violence on both sides. Nothing could have been further from the truth. While there were instances of Israelis behaving badly, the scale and severity of the violence against Jews and Israelis was of a completely different magnitude. And yet somehow police arrested only a handful of perpetrators. Those found guilty of attacking Jews received light sentences. This wasn't just a travesty of justice. This was no justice at all. Dutch media distorted the facts and excused the attacks on Jews as a logical consequence of provocation by Maccabi fans. Some Amsterdam city council members echoed this victim blaming. The political party Bij One even posted their appreciation on Instagram, thanking the brave Dutch taxi drivers for standing up. Europe as a whole has imported a bunch of people from the Middle East, Britain as well, and they brought their anti-Semitic bigotry with them. It's happening here to a lesser extent in the U.S. There are areas, I'm thinking Dearborn, Michigan, where it's probably not safe to walk around with a yarmulke on, or wearing a Star of David, or those sorts of things. This is where these societies are at. I'm not sure if there's a way to fix it. A wholesale revocation of visas and asylum hearings and whatnot. I'm not sure how you can get rid of them. It's going to get worse before it gets better, if it does get better. No surprise here. Moving on. I'm calling this little feature here, Good Reporter, Bad Reporter. We will start with Good Reporter. Our good reporter is Dan Zakeshki. Forgive me, Dan, if I mispronounced your last name. At least your first name's Dan. That I can pronounce correctly. So he went to a Michigan high school girls state tournament. And I say girls, it's girls and at least one dude who describes who identifies as a girl. The mind virus whatever is weak. Outkick reporter harassed covering girls volleyball. Trans player as principal does nothing. You almost think the principal was kind of running it too. Principal Casey Elmore, classy woman. By classy, I mean not. Did nothing to stop radical pro-transgender activists who were harassing an Outkick reporter. So one of the teams has a dude on it. And guess what? That team is advancing because it's got a dude on it. I've mentioned this before. You've got, there's the obvious and well-documented physical differences between male and females post-puberty. I have not mentioned before, and because at the time I didn't realize it, but it makes sense that the height of the women's net is significantly shorter than the height of the men's net. If you're even a halfway decent volleyball player and you're a guy, it's like playing basketball at the elementary school where the hoops are 8 feet off the ground or lower. I'm not sure how low they are. I know they're lower. Because when I was in high school, sometimes we'd screw around. We'd go to the elementary school, we'd play basketball, and those were rims I could dunk on. The standard ones, the high school that are used in college and pros, I don't have the hops. So, reporter there from Outkick, first they wouldn't give him credentials. And then, so he bought a ticket. It's like, okay, I'll buy a ticket. So he bought tickets and they know what he looks like and they went after him. So here's Dan's Twitter account. Skyline High School, which has a trans-identifying man on its girls volleyball team, is playing for a spot in the Michigan State tournament. The principal of Skyline is following me everywhere I go inside the gym. This is what happens. He did get some positive feedback, though. Should note, he said, however, I should note that I heard at least one Dexter parent yelling cheater when the transgender athlete made a play. In addition, he received an email from a Dexter parent. They lost because Skyline has a boy on their team. I appreciate that you showed up and reported on the game tonight. It was a tense environment that appeared to have a group of pro-trans people surrounding you. Thank you for covering the story. I didn't clip this one, but it's in the link. It's going to be in the link dump at the bottom of this video. He had a guy standing behind him yelling, "Go Skyline," in his ear time after time after time. And frankly, I'd get the hell annoyed about it. And so he got his, Dan, reporter, got his picture, got his camera, took a selfie with this guy standing right behind him in the background. And this is something I heard reasonably often when I was a young reporter going out in public, and there were people who wanted you to know that they were there, but didn't want to be known that they were there. So he takes this selfie, and the guy says, "You can't take a picture of me." Like, hello, if you're in public, you can have your picture taken, whether you want to or not. This is the way it is. Get over it. They said, well, it's rude. It's rude to take somebody's picture they don't want to. Maybe, but this is kind of newsworthy. You are being a jerk. And he pointed out, well, it's also rude to keep on yelling in someone's ear. And that's the way it is. Go figure. So, Dan Zakeshki, good reporter. We will now go to bad reporter. Dan writes for Outkick. They've been doing great stuff on this, transgender athletes in high school sports and whatnot, which most mainstream media won't touch, including the local reports, local newspapers, local media outlets. Here's bad reporter, Brittany Mieha. Brittany is Metro reporter for the LA Times. This is why I would not get hired by the LA Times. She's a Metro reporter from the LA Times. So she goes on Twitter and she posts this. During a Border Patrol operation outside a Cypress Park Home Depot yesterday, agents detained a U.S. citizen they accused of assault. Agents drove off with his 1-year-old daughter in the back seat. She's since been reunited with her family. Oh my gosh. They're accusing him of assault. They have arrested the father. Are they supposed to leave the kid in the child seat, lock up the car, and wait for some other relative to show up and grab the kid? I mean, that's the logic Brittany is kind of shoveling here, which is dumb. Dumb as a bag of hammers. Maria Avalos, the child's grandmother, said the agent shouldn't have driven off with her granddaughter. Maria, don't be a moron. Brittany shouldn't even. When they got in the car taking my granddaughter, I said, why are they taking her? Are they really ICE? Are they kidnapping her or what? And then they've got a nearly 2-minute long video. I'm sorry. This is stupid. This is trying to gin up outrage when they did the responsible thing. They do what they have to do. Doesn't matter who this was, what law enforcement, whether it was the sheriff, whether it was the local police, whether it was Child Protective Service. They don't leave the kid in the car, especially in what is obviously a tense, potentially violent situation, demonstrated by this girl's own father, who didn't think enough about his daughter's safety that he decides, and here's what he decided. He left his child unattended in the car, exited wielding a hammer, and threw rocks. A stolen firearm was later found in the vehicle. He also has an active warrant for property damage. Again, what are the cops supposed to do? Leave the kid in the car? Brittany, do better, be better. Just don't. That's good. That's a good reporter, bad reporter. I want to thank you for joining me today. Again, I'm going to chop this up into little bits, so if you want to watch the whole thing, watch the whole thing. If you particularly like one of the segments, I'd ask you to like and subscribe and like that and share it with your friends. And if you have people that you know who will absolutely hate this, share it with them as well. Make them watch it, because if this is a hate watch for you, great. Please still subscribe. Again, this is what I'm working on now. Appreciate all the subscribes, the likes, the follows. For my Jewish benefactors, I'm still missing that $14,000 check that you guys were apparently going to send me for my earlier video attacking Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson over their anti-Semitism. So again, really could use the money. Thank you for watching. Have a great weekend.